Good afternoon, everyone. Darren Schierbaum, Interim Chief of the Atlanta Police Department. Appreciate you being here to inform your viewers. I'm sitting here once again before a microphone speaking to citizens of this city regarding from what the initial information from the investigation shows is that anger at a time that a handgun is introduced leads to tragedy. In a few minutes, you will hear from the commander of our Criminal Investigations Division as he gives you details to that occurrence. And again, this police department is making an appeal that when you're angry, put the weapons down, walk away from the weapons. And that tragedy would be one that I do not want to keep briefing the city on, and that we ask for the city's help in that area. We are attacking crime in the city, and we're reducing crime around the area of gangs, guns, and drugs. But senseless tragedies where anger and guns are at play leads us to once again speak to you on this afternoon in our great city. And so at this time, I want to ask our Commander of Criminal Investigations, Deputy Chief Hampton, to come forward to give you information on what occurred here today and in close proximity to this park. Chief.
Good afternoon, everyone. Deputy Chief Charles Hampton, Jr. We have two incidents that I'll talk about. The first incident occurred, we got a call at 1:26 for a person shot. While officers were responding to this location inside the park here, the caller updated that it was a male shooting himself. Officers arrived, and we did in fact find a male in his late 60s, shot, deceased, with a weapon in his lap, with all indication that it was a self-inflicted wound. We then had a call, came over at Cosby Spear High Rise for a person shot at 355 North Avenue. When we arrived at that location, we found a female in her early 60s shot, deceased on scene. Right now, early indication, it appears that these two incidents are related, where the individual here at the park may be responsible for the incident at the high rise. I have investigators at both locations to determine and to really put that together. But right now, that is the early indications of what's going on.
Question? Chief, just in terms of the last 24 hours, homicide last night, it's been a really active afternoon. Homicides were actually trending down this quarter compared to the last quarter. How do you explain what we've seen in the last 24 hours in Atlanta?
You know, you're actually right. When you look at the homicide trends, they've been actually decreasing since April of this year, and are on course at some point to actually go negative over this time last year. But anger is so hard for this police department to predict. We don't know when there's going to be an angry moment that arises and a handgun's introduced. We have been very successful in tackling the gangs that are present in the city that are impacting and driving violent crime. We are shutting down drug dealing operations in this city that is driving crime. But moments of anger, that is why we're appealing to the citizens. We can't stop moments of anger, and we do need individuals to know that that is a combination of a weapon that is at hand is going to lead to tragedy. And I'll tell you what, we also want to thank those that are calling 911 when you see something and you know something. Just our ability to get a clear picture of what occurred today was because citizens took note of something that was unusual and made a 911 call and provided us very critical information to this investigation. Citizens' involvement is another reason we're reducing crime in the city, and the activation of neighborhood watches, court watch, that's also a contributor to the shrinking crime trends that we're seeing in Atlanta this year.
I just want to make sure I understand the two locations of the incidents. You found the man with the gun?
Yes.
And it appears to have been self-inflicted?
Yes.
So is this a murder-suicide investigation?
Again, that's how we'll handle it. And again, we have detectives at both scenes, and once they finish processing scenes and compare notes, I'm pretty confident that that's what we'll determine.
And where was the woman found? Can you give me that address again?
The address is 355 North Avenue.
Is that a apartment complex?
It's a high-rise community.
High-rise, okay.
Yeah. It's called Cosby Spear High Rise.
Cosby Spear High Rise.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know the relationship at this point, or is that still under investigation?
It's still under investigation.
And she was shot. The female in her early 60s.
Yes.
Found shot.
Yes.
And where was the man found again?
In the park right behind me.
Right here in this park.
Yes.
Okay.